In January 2019, WeWork was worth $47 billion. That made it the most valuable startup in the United States.
The company was one of the hottest startups in history.
WeWork is a leader in the business.
It was a $47 billion valuation at one point.
Its founder was on the covers of magazines. Investors called it the future of work.
You've doubled your membership, nearly doubled.
We have 83 locations globally.
They're growing so quickly.
30 cities, 12 countries, 3 continents.
And they're investing into the capex.
SoftBank, the largest tech investment fund on earth, had poured over $10 billion into it. 8 months later, the company was days away from bankruptcy.
Once America's most valuable startup has just filed for bankruptcy.
Office-sharing company WeWork filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection.
WeWork saga finally coming to an end. It's been a constant and rapid decline.
After filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection.
Its founder had been fired. Its valuation had collapsed by $37 billion. And the business that had convinced the smartest money in Silicon Valley it was worth $47 billion was revealed to be a company that rented desks. 6 weeks. That's how long it took. This is the story of the fastest destruction of a billion-dollar startup in Silicon Valley history, and the 3 decisions that made it inevitable.
To understand how WeWork collapsed, you first need to understand why anyone believed in it. In 2010, Adam Neumann and Miguel McKelvey founded WeWork in New York City. The idea was simple: rent large office spaces under long-term leases, redesign them into vibrant, community-driven workspaces, then sublet them to freelancers and startups at a premium on short-term contracts. On the surface, this was a real estate arbitrage business. Buy low, sell high, pocket the margin. But Neumann had a different pitch entirely. He told investors WeWork wasn't a real estate company. It was a technology company, a community company, a consciousness company. In 2017, Neumann claimed that WeWork's valuation was, and this is a real quote, much more based on our energy and spirituality than it is on a multiple of revenue. And the remarkable thing, it worked. By 2014, WeWork was a unicorn, valued at over $1 billion. 2017, after SoftBank's first major investment, the valuation hit $20 billion. By January 2019, SoftBank pushed it to $47 billion. The pitch wasn't the offices. The pitch was the story. And for 9 years, the story was enough. At the center of everything was Adam Neumann. He was 6'5", charismatic. He spoke about elevating the world's consciousness in one breath and closing billion-dollar deals in the next. He walked barefoot through WeWork offices and told employees their work was a spiritual mission. Investors loved him. SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son, after a 12-minute meeting, committed $4.4 billion. 12 minutes, $4.4 billion. But underneath the charisma, something else was happening. Neumann had structured WeWork so that his shares carried 20 times the voting power of regular shares. In practice, this meant he could not be fired. The board was powerless. Investors had no recourse, and he used that power creatively. He personally bought buildings and leased them back to WeWork at a profit, paying himself rent from the company he ran. He trademarked the word "we" and then sold that trademark to his own company for $5.9 million. He had WeWork lease a private Gulfstream G650 jet for more than $60 million. By July 2019, just weeks before the IPO, Neumann had liquidated $700 million of his own WeWork stock. While telling investors WeWork was about to go public, he was quietly cashing out. The board saw the warning signs. They did nothing. The biggest investor in the world saw the warning signs. They invested anyway, and the employees, 12,500 of them, had no idea what was coming. August 14, 2019, WeWork filed its S-1, the public document required before any company can list on a stock exchange. 300 pages, and for the first time, anyone who wanted to could look inside the machine. Wall Street looked, and what they found shocked them. WeWork had lost $1.9 billion in 2018 alone on $1.8 billion in revenue. The company was losing more money than it was making. Every desk WeWork rented out, it was losing money on. The S1 also revealed the governance structure, Neumann's 20 times voting rights, his wife Rebecca's role as a key company officer with the power to select his successor, and a clause ensuring the Neumann family could maintain control of WeWork, even if both Adam and Rebecca were incapacitated. Analysts were baffled. One, David Traynor, CEO of New Constructs, called it the most ridiculous and the most dangerous IPO of 2019. The market responded immediately. Week 1. Banks suggest a $25 billion valuation. Week 2. Revised down to $20 billion. Week 3. Falls to $15 billion. Week 4. Maybe $12 billion. Week 5. Perhaps $10 billion. Week 6. IPO postponed. Indefinitely. In 6 weeks, $37 billion in valuation had evaporated. Not from a product failure. Not from a recession. From a 300-page document that told the truth. On September 22, 2019, the Wall Street Journal reported that WeWork's board was preparing to ask Adam Neumann to step down. His eccentric behavior had become public. Reports of use surfaced. The $700 million stock sale, while employees held worthless options, made headlines. 2 days later, September 24th, Neumann resigned as CEO. Then came the exit package. The man who drove the company to the brink of bankruptcy walked away with $1.7 billion. His employees, 2,400 of whom were laid off in the weeks that followed, received nothing. Many held stock options that were now worth zero. SoftBank stepped in with a rescue package to prevent total collapse. WeWork was kept alive, barely. The company went public 2 years later via a SPAC merger at a valuation of $9 billion. And in November 2023, 4 years after the IPO collapse, WeWork filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The $47 billion company, bankrupt.
The collapse raises an obvious question. Was the business model itself the problem, or just the execution? Look at IWG, the company that owns Regus and Spaces. They do exactly what WeWork did: long-term leases, short-term sublets, flexible offices. IWG was profitable, publicly listed, methodically expanding. The difference? IWG never claimed to be a technology company. They didn't pitch spirituality to investors. They ran a real estate business like a real estate business. Their CEO, Mark Dixon, watched WeWork's collapse from a front row seat. His company's stock jumped 20% the week WeWork's IPO failed. The lesson from IWG? The business model wasn't broken. The narrative was. WeWork's fatal flaw wasn't the desks. It was the story built around them. A story so divorced from the underlying numbers that the moment investors looked at the actual financials, the entire edifice collapsed.
1 year after the rebrand launched, the data is clear. It comes down to 3 failures. First, WeWork confused narrative with value. Neumann's pitch was compelling because it was about something bigger than office space, community, consciousness, the future of work. And for 9 years, that narrative attracted capital that the underlying business could never have justified on its own. When the S1 forced investors to look at the numbers instead of the story, $37 billion disappeared in 6 weeks. The lesson? Narrative can accelerate value. It cannot create it. And the longer a company substitutes story for substance, the harder the landing when reality arrives. Second, WeWork had no functioning board. Neumann's 20 times voting rights weren't a secret. SoftBank knew. Early investors knew. The board knew. Everyone with the power to check Neumann's behavior chose not to, because the valuation kept going up and the story kept getting better. A board that only functions when things are going well isn't a board. It's a cheering section. When governance fails at the top, the people who pay are always at the bottom. The 2,400 employees who lost their jobs and the thousands more who held worthless stock options. Third, SoftBank's money made the problem worse, not better. Every time WeWork needed to be tested to slow down, become profitable, prove the model, SoftBank wrote another check: the 2017 investment, the 2018 investment, the January 2019 investment that pushed the valuation to $47 billion. Each round of capital removed the pressure that would have forced discipline, and when the music stopped, the losses were so large, $1.9 billion in a single year, that no story could survive them. The most dangerous thing that can happen to an unproven business model is unlimited capital. It allows the problem to grow large enough to become catastrophic. Here's what we know. In January 2019, WeWork was worth $47 billion. It had raised $12.8 billion from the smartest investors in the world. By November 2023, it was bankrupt. The company wasn't brought down by a competitor. It wasn't hit by a recession or a regulatory disaster. It was brought down by a document, 300 pages, that forced the world to look at what was actually there instead of what Adam Neumann said was there. And what was actually there was an office rental business losing $219,000 an hour. Neumann called WeWork a community company, a technology company, a movement. Wall Street called it a real estate company that had confused itself. They were both right. WeWork still exists, smaller, quieter, reorganized. Adam Neumann has already started his next company. The 2,400 employees who were laid off in the weeks after the IPO collapse. They're still looking for the chapter of this story that makes sense for them. The greatest magic trick in startup history until everyone looked behind the curtain.